When I saw Blade Runner 2049 for the first time, there was this one detail, this little tiny thing that stuck out to me. Here it is. And after seeing the film 4 times now, I really want to talk about this. Not Robin Wright's dead body bouncing from the table to the floor, but the human characters in Blade Runner 2049, and how Denis Villeneuve wants to show us that as the replicants are growing more and more human, that the human characters are slowly but surely losing their grip on humanity. I think we can all agree that the biggest theme in the Blade Runner films is what it means to be human. But that loud and almost comical thud when Robin Wright's character Joshi dies, along with many other moments in the film, basically showed me that the human characters don't even feel like humans. Now, before I start talking, I think it's best to exclude Rick Deckard from this video, because we really don't know if he's a human or a replicant. I mean, Ridley Scott says that he's a replicant, but Hampton Fancher, who wrote the original film and co-wrote 2049, says that Deckard is a human. So bringing him into this argument will just make it 10 times more complicated. Now, there are already tons of great video essays on this modern masterpiece of a film, but I have yet to see one that explores the human characters in detail. So I guess that's what I'm going to try and do, because even though 2049 is largely based around the replicant characters, the humans play a surprisingly important role in showing us how the world of Blade Runner has developed. So why did I mention the thud? This thud stuck out to me because it sounded very cartoonish and out of place in a film so dark and gritty. I think that Denis wanted to show Joshi's death as somewhat insincere. In fact, when she falls to the floor after being stabbed, the whole thing is muted. The whole scene is devoid of music, which could be in an attempt to create tension, but I also believe that the lack of sound and the fact that this moment is shot from outside of the building, amongst many other things, means that there is more to that than just tension. Look at this scene where Kay shoots Dave Bautista's character, Sapper Morton, in the opening scene. The camera stays on Kay for quite a while after he delivers the killing blow, showing us his reaction to it. Sapper's body also makes a similar sound when it drops to the floor. This makes more sense though, because he's played by a guy who is in WWE and looks like this.
It's in ball game! Kay Booker up high! Batista ball!
Love also has an incredibly dramatic death scene, with Hans Zimmer and Benjamin Wallfish's beautiful score being very prominent in the background, not to mention our boy Kay himself. Of course, his fate is left ambiguous, just like a lot of things in Denis' films, but let's just say he dies. I mean, it's a pretty emotional death that leaves the audience with a sense of catharsis. But with the human character, we get this. I mean, even this dude, who I'm pretty sure is human, gets this kind of treatment. He gets KO'd in one hit, and just like that is lying down and bleeding to his death. So what am I trying to say? The human characters in this film don't seem very human. Moments before her death, Joshi doesn't seem afraid. When she gets a glass shattered into her hand, she barely emotes. Now, Denis has said that this was in an attempt to show her dignity in her final moment, but he's also said that he's absolutely fine with other people having different interpretations of this scene. The one character that I haven't touched on yet is Wallace, who, aside from this thud, is probably the most important piece of evidence in my argument for the deterioration of humanity in the human characters in the film. Wallace is a heartless bastard. He literally doesn't have a soul. We all know the saying, eyes are the windows to the soul, and eyes are obviously a very important theme in this movie. I mean, it starts with the shot of an eye, and one of the key moments in this movie is when Deckard points out that Rachel's eyes were green. And there are many other YouTubers who have acknowledged the significance of eyes in the Blade Runner films, which is why I find the decision to make Wallace a blind dude to be a very deliberate one. Again, the eyes are the windows to the soul, and Wallace is blind. You can connect the dots for yourself, but if that isn't enough for you, well, he talks like this.
Did it never occur to you that's why you were summoned in the first place? Designed to do nothing short of fall for her right then and there.
I mean, he isn't exactly bursting with charisma, is he? Now let's compare this to the replicant characters. Kay, although a man of few words, does seem to have a personality. We see him smile from here and there. Love is actually a better example. She smiles and cries and screams throughout the entire film. I mean, in terms of emotion, she's the whole package. By far the most charismatic character in this film is Joi. She's filled with energy and excitement and optimism, even though the world around her looks like this. These are all qualities that a human being really should possess, but instead we get this.
You think I have nothing to offer but pain? Only I know you love pain. Pain reminds you the joy you felt was real.
Of course, we know that Joi is fake, which shows us that the level of charisma that she possesses is pretty much impossible to find in a human or a replicant, probably because the world has gone to shit. For a large majority of the film, Joi seems to be the only person who sees light at the end of the tunnel, and she's fake, so I guess the world of Blade Runner is kind of fucked. This version of Joi is also devoid of proper eyes, again probably to show the lack of a soul and in turn the lack of humanity. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is that the human characters in this film aren't really human. They may as well be replicants. In fact, most people who watched this film and talked to me about it couldn't really tell who was a human and who was a replicant. This again is probably intentional. As Joshi herself says,
"The world is built on a wall that separates kind. Tell either side there's no wall, you bought a war. Or a slaughter."
And I think that Denis is trying to show us that this wall is starting to become blurred. So yeah, the human characters are just as important as the replicants when it comes to showing the meaning of humanity, their inherent lack of charisma or any form of personality, and of course this thud, which at this point I don't even think is relevant anymore, all come together to show us that the humans who live in this dystopian future have pretty much become the replicants that they created. In fact, I think they've almost become inferior. So either I'm reading into this way too much, or Denis Villeneuve and his team, which includes some of the most talented people working in Hollywood, including a certain cinematographer who, if he doesn't win the Oscar this year, I will react like this. Are trying to show us that this aforementioned wall really is becoming blurred. Nah, mate, I think you're just reading into it way too much. So, yeah, just get a life, okay?